Good afternoon, everyone. Definitions are essential to complex conversation. They give us clarity and help us build a common vocabulary. Therefore, allow me, please, today to start my session by defining my understanding of platform engineering. Platform engineering is a socio-technical set of practices that prioritizes experience over tool selection freedom to better serve the whole organization. This is really important, right? Because if you look at the previous definition of platform engineers, which I somehow disagree with, they tend to focus too much on one single stakeholders, the software engineers, and not so much on the whole stakeholders that you need to serve. And also they make it more as a tool problem and not as an experience problem. So my name is Sergiu Petean. I'm the Executive Director for Cloud and Operation at Allianz Direct. I'm also one of the end user technical advisory board member at CNCF, and I'm a DevOps ambassador. Today, I want to talk about Allianz Direct's 4 years evolutionary journey towards platform engineering. During all these years, we had to address complex challenges to build and rebuild our internal identity, both internal identity, also external identity, and we never stopped challenging and changing our technology stack and architecture. We embraced change from the beginning and made it successfully because we decided early on one key principle, which was to measure our impact on every single change that we perform. Success amplifies impact, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but you're going to see that once you have successful in a small group, that success will get amplified to a bigger one and a bigger one. And ideally, as we did, we managed to influence the whole group. But enough talking about a journey. Let's actually dive into that journey. So in February 2021, when I joined Allianz Direct and I started a new career chapter, I inherited a great team with lots of ideas and strong technical foundation. Things were good, but not as good as they should have been. Few cracks were screaming for attention and improvements. First of all, the team did not have a clear identity or a vision. Even worse, we had several identities, some coming from inside the team, some others coming from outside the team. We even have several names behind the identity. We were called infrastructure team, we were calling operation team, SRE, enabling teams, turtles. I guess we found ourselves in an anti-pattern topology called faked SRE. The second problem was that the team was heavily relying on externals. Don't get me wrong, externals are an amazing resource to have. But in our setup, we had low retention, and that's why we had a certain impact on the team spirit and also on the knowledge building. Because now you need to onboard, offboard people, and then, yes, simply your daily looks a little bit different. Third problem that we had to identify and fix was the technology stack, which was really vague and volatile. We really had to rediscover the things and processes and the tooling that we were using. It was never quite clear what we are doing, and by the time we were realizing that, we had to move to the next one. We also had to discover our stakeholders. As I mentioned at the beginning in the definition, it's really important to understand that you're serving more than one stakeholder, and those stakeholders have a certain weight on your backlog. So it made sense for us to really understand who is behind our work and how to prioritize that. With these findings in place, I triggered immediately a few actions. First one was to build a long and lasting internal team, capable of growing an identity, strong identity, one identity, and a product. I call this, and I really opinionated about this one, I call this innovation sovereignty. This is the key ingredient you need in order to create a long-lasting product. First hiring also are extremely important, as they become the gravitational points for both work ethics and team spirit. Second, as I mentioned, finding the stakeholders and the real weight, not the one that you imagine, but really measure the weight of every single stakeholder. That was really, really important. And it was also surprising for us as well, because once we start talking to our clients, we realized that we had months where compliance, business, and security had much more weight than the software engineering. Third part was to really have, now that we had the core team in place and we were already focused on building an identity and way of working and the guiding principle behind us, we had to build a mission and we had to build the vision. And back then in 2021, when platform engineering was not actually a thing, we had a mission. Our mission was to build a future-proof platform and enable teams to deploy, monitor, and maintain their own production environment. This was in 21. No, it's all right. Okay, once we had clarity, once we had an identity and we had a mission and even a way of working, and we knew our stakeholders, it was time to actually build and focus on the technology stack. We discovered and we painted both the current state and the future state, and we started building the product, the platform engineering platform. You see here in the previous slide, we see basically two versions of the same image. First one in 21 is basically the stack we managed to paint for the first time. And the second one, the one that we can focus here, it's the current platform we have in place in 2024. We changed that, as I mentioned, a few times already. Yes. Right. Next, of course, you need to reorganize yourself internally, especially, and shield yourself from the unneeded noise. For this, to happen, you need, first of all, time. Any single product that has to be built, operated, grown, and evolved needs your attention, needs manpower behind it. And in order to get all that, we had to scale the team. That's quite obvious, I guess. Again, we were heavily invested in internal capabilities, but also to really focus on the important things and to reduce the noise. Because of the previous identities, we had to do things that were not part of our really backlog. And so to shield ourselves, we created some layers of protection. And we created both a team and a function. The first team that I want to talk about is technology desk or tech desk, to keep it simple. And this is basically an entry-level technical team handling all the non-critical technical support, such as success management, communication, incident management, SRE, and much more. And then ninja of the day, it's a function. It's a function that consists in having one core DevOps engineer handling all the communication with the stakeholders and supporting, of course, the tech desk with all the needed expertise. We are finally ready to build, but navigating a rich and complex cloud world was not easy, especially back then in 2021. So we decided to get a companion, and we embraced the open source cloud-native OpenStack, and we became CNCF members. Looking back, this was a key moment for us as we found the clarity and honesty that allowed us to avoid deadly mistakes. After 6 months of planning, it was time to prove our vision. So we decided to go big. Now we addressed the most painful problem, and we addressed it during a critical release moment. We were going live in our markets. We started redesigning the whole CI/CD stack. We really dropped all the tools that were running on an infrastructure we didn't own, and we built it from scratch on the cloud-native principles and technology stack. And we were successful. And it makes sense maybe to stop here a second, because it's extremely important to measure your impact. And that's what we did with the software delivery process. We looked out again into the industry, we found the DORA metrics, and we wanted to compare ourselves not just with ourselves, not just with the group, not just with the insurance space, but we wanted with the whole technology technology space. And actually, we were really surprised and happy to see us among the top 11% elite performers. We release currently, we release on demand multiple times a day, and we fail rarely while recovering fast. This marriage of speed, responsiveness, and quality allows us to meet all our clients and stakeholders' expectation. As you can see, our clients even gave us a vote of confidence not so long time ago. Cool. So there's always a price to everything. We know it. And we also have had a price for moving and deploying fast. And it's really important for every single organization to understand that, because the cost that needs to fit into the goal and the size of the organization, not everyone should be, let's say, deciding to have the fastest speed of delivery. That's not for everyone, because it costs you. And sometimes it's simply enough to do multiple deployments per week or per month. So always balance the cost with the speed and reliability, of course. Right. Next for us in our journey was to go to a new phase. We call that SRE. And for that, we created a completely new team out of the DevOps Central team. And this team started becoming and evangelizing the operational qualities. And we also seized the opportunity, and we built this conversation around operations, again, with all the stakeholders. We didn't focus just on software engineering. The secret for us, while the company was also scaling, and we couldn't keep up with that scale, because as we all know, this kind of talent is extremely rare on the market, was to find key persons in every single team, in every single squad, and make sure that they are aware and they have enough time in the backlog to work on the operational qualities and operational concerns. Of course, the technology that we had back then was not enough, and the processes were not functioning. And we had, coming from a core team, we had too many alerts. So we had to add education. We had to add a lot of meetings in order to convince everyone. The cultural change, it's one of the hardest. And it took us 8 months probably to get where we wanted to go, but we did it. And we are now having team members everywhere in our organizations that are writing their own alerts. They reacted to their own alerts and they run their own incidents. This was one of the biggest and I would say, one of the biggest winnings that we had on the organizational level. Right. Next phase for us from here was to keep up with the demand. We had the organization scaling big time, and we added more and more complexity in our stack, in our processes. We are a highly regulated industry, so we had to keep up with the regulator and make sure that everything that we create has the right quality in place for this industry. So we ended up in a point where we had a huge cognitive load, and it was becoming unmanageable, including for the existing members, but mostly for the newcomers. Therefore, we decided to really change our topology again. We had to adapt, and we built platform engineering around DDOs. This is a concept called DDOs. It's coming from the distributed DevOps, and basically we use the reverse Conway maneuver to reflect the stack that we have. Now we have a platform structure, and then every single domain from that structure has to have a round of people capable of steering and guiding and operating the processes and the technology behind it. Yes, there is a catch though. Once you go that, you risk to go back to silos. But there is one key principle that keeps you away from that, and this is always a safety net. Now, every single member of the DDOs have to rotate. They have to go every few months or so. They have to be able to go to the next DDO and the next DDO. And in few iterations like this, everyone has the holistic view, because every single time you change something in the platform, it's gonna have so many side effects, and you have to be aware of all that. Good. It was, for us, this was a very complicated journey. it allowed us to understand that success does amplify impact. We started by really touching a team spirit and culture, and now today we are influencing the whole group. The journey itself was not easy. It was also risky, but there is good news for everyone. That news is that you don't have to go through to the same 4-year journey where you expose yourself to unnecessary risk. Nowadays, with the work I'm doing in the CNCF technical advisory member, we are basically writing recipes, I would say failure-proof recipes for cloud journeys that allows you to actually look and collect the wisdom from all the lucky end users that managed to navigate this journey successfully and then integrate that experience and those recommendations in your journey. You know, platforms originally comes from the automotive industry, and today the automotive industry is going through some major transformation. All OEMs are now building and operating not just one platform, but multiple platforms. I mean, you have the hybrid car, you have the diesel car, electrical, and maybe hydrogen car next. So I believe the tech industry is going through the same transformation. We're entering the age of platforms. The same teams that build the first platform are most likely going to build the next one, and soon they're going to end up operating and evolving several platforms. Obviously, now reusing the best practices from a core platform. So I want to end up the conversation by raising the questions. I'm quite curious to understand, where is the next transformation coming towards you? Is it virtual reality, AI, quantum computing? And I would like to understand what platforms you are building. Please reach out. Happy to engage with you on all the channels and realities you can find me. Thank you very much. Happy to take the questions. Yes, of course, resistance. That there is always resistance to change. That's granted. But again, if you have the right culture, if you have the right people, and you manage to articulate the strategy clearly, and be consistent with that, and always have the arguments based on facts and data, I believe you're gonna get a lot of support from the right people. That's what happened to us basically. We had to change ourselves a lot, and that's why we had internally a lot of discussions. We are still having the discussions, but we decide also for a key principle. It's like disagree, but execute is very important. You have an open conversation. You have a decision-making process in place where you record the decisions, and then once you made the decision, and that decision has to be implemented. So you never come back and you reevaluate the same decision again. So it's important to reevaluate your decisions once the context is changing, but without that trigger, you should stay and execute on the plan.
Stage and say, excellent. Thank you so much for responding to one of our great questions. Niels had asked, did you meet any resistance with regards to the mandatory rotation within the team? That one was just asked. But now Iris has come in with a great question. So what was this move more cost effective or more expensive? Did it help with retaining talent?
Totally. It's thank you very much, Iris, for the question. I mean, this concept of innovation sovereignty is something maybe I would like to expand a little bit more. It's basically about having a team of creators, not a team of consumers. And as long as you stay honest with your identity and you find the right balance between what are your key assets, technically, what do you want to own, and where do you have this organization intelligence? Now you need to understand your stakeholders very well, and then you need to be able to innovate in the right places and consume maybe where you don't bring any value, like a database. There's no innovation coming from, maintaining and updating a database and hardening a database, or having your own Kubernetes. For us was an early decision where we said we don't want to own it. We want to consume a certain service that allows us to do a lot of things, but take away also a lot of load. And once you do that and you start creating a vision and executing on that, there is a lot of positive feeling coming from that. Because again, you have the right skill set, you have the right mindset in your team. Those people, those technicians, they always want to create something. And if you give them the space, they're gonna get so much motivation. And also, we change a lot. Great technicians, they want to grow themselves and they don't want to stagnate. So if they get to the new stack, to the new problem, and they solve the new problem, that's going to keep them extremely motivated. And we had, I believe we have 100% retention so far.
Wow, thank you for that. We have one more question from Sukbir asks, there were many aspects highlighted in an earlier panel session, an earlier session in Das Connect, around role and support from leadership, alignment with ops teams / functions, and the use of metrics / dashboards. Could you highlight your thoughts about this support from leadership and alignment?
Yes. Obviously, you can't do anything. I mean, any transformation involves finance. There's no way you can get the budget or you can get enough support to reach out to the right people on the market, pay the right salaries, and then create a certain space. I mean, to get 50% from a team of 10 people, so that's like 1 FTE every month to build a product, a platform team, invest in technology. You need a lot of support. There's no way you can motivate that kind of investment over a period of 4 years unless you deliver value. So that means you need, as I mentioned, you need to really measure your impact, because that's going to be your pitch. Also, you have, of course, to speak the language of your board. You need to be able to take the technical utopia and the technical terms and translate that ideally in financial benefits. For us, we are extremely concerned with the customer satisfactions, and we want to really we are a digital company. We recognize the digital qualities and want to become digital unbeatable. So for us, having the right technology in place and the talent to evolve that towards different markets and different states was a critical asset to have. And therefore, we had top-down support from our management.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's some really great insights about just the team structure and getting that support from management. All right. Do you have any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Anyone want to ask? Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for a wonderful discussion. This was such a fun, interactive way to go through this journey. It's like a storyboard almost. So, would you like to give the audience any final words of wisdom? Last thoughts?
Yes, I mean, I could speak about this. This is the story of my last 4 years. I could speak the whole day long about it, but I would say it's really important to take some learnings from here, some wisdoms. The first one that I believe is extremely important is really to invest in internal capabilities. There is an illusion going on that you can buy yourself platform engineering, or you can buy yourself innovation. You don't buy your innovation, because innovation is not a state, it's a process. It's something that it's always moving. It's a moving target. So you always have to have the right crew in order to sail the whole innovation space, including especially in cloud, where things are changing so fast. So that's critical for me. Really invest in this sovereignty, innovation sovereignty. Get the right people. Make sure you hire the technical leads to keep the work ethics and keep the spirit alive. They will become your influencer, your culture influencers, for sure. So make that investment. It's totally worth it. And embrace change. I mean, once you have the right setup and you're well equipped and you measure the impact of your change, embrace change. It's gonna take you to, the only way you can have innovation is gonna take you to the next phase, the next phase, the next phase. And then once you have enough success, then it's the compound effect. You're gonna have the impact. It's exactly what happened to us. Mainly that, and don't do it alone. Don't reinvent the wheel. Find yourself a companion. Look around for honest organization and community that can really share with you, especially the failures. because avoiding suicidal failures, that's one of the key ways you can survive this, or you can prosper in a transformation. Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions.